What's going on for you? How could I help?
Yeah, so basically my goal right now is I'm trying to hit into the 170s, but I'm, trying to work uh smoothly, try to get myself first into the 160s. I've been scoring around the 150s. My highest score so far is a 155. Um, I've been doing pretty good with the logic games. I did kind of a time section. Yesterday I did that and I got about 19 out of 23 correct. Um, but I know sometimes I'm working with a tutor as well to kind of help me supplement with that. But I know I'm still kind of struggling with the logical reasoning.
Sure, sure. I'd be glad to help. So, have you noticed any particular weak areas in logical reasoning that you would focus on in terms of question types or in terms of methods of reasoning?
Honestly, I think my big thing is because he helps me, going through the justify the conclusion, sufficient, necessary assumptions, even weakening. I'm kind of still struggling, and sometimes I'll go through the questions and I'll review it. And even when I still do that, sometimes I'm still in between two answer choices. And with the whole timing thing, I kind of struggle. Like if I have the entire time, I can get it right, but it's just the process of the amount of time I have to answer.
Right, right. And what's your review process like?
So basically, I every time I go through the questions, my tutor, what he's helped me do is like go through the stimulus, figure out what the conclusion is, and then like kind of in my own words, break it down and look at the different answer choices and try to understand it from my perspective. Because ultimately, the only way I'm going to get the answers correct is like I have to understand it with my reasoning. So I try to do that. But with whenever it comes with time, that's kind of where I'm struggling. Like I get a little anxious and I'm like, okay, I have to do this in a certain amount of time.
Right, right. Do you ever write out anything as part of your review process?
No, I never write anything out.
You might want to try experimenting with that because there's a certain power in articulating your thought process. And of course, you could talk that with a tutor, but I think it's really important to drill down specifically into what is tempting about the wrong answer that's making you pick it and what's ultimately making it wrong. And what's discouraging about the right answer that pushes you away from it and what ultimately makes it correct. Because if you're down to two and you're picking the wrong one, you got to figure out what about that choice is making it seem appealing. And what about the right answer is making it seem unappealing.
Perfect. Perfect. Yeah, because for me right now, I'm looking long haul because I want to take the test the next time in July, but I'm also taking it in February right now. So I'm also in that situation where like I want to get the best possible score I can get in February, but I know ultimately long haul, I need to make some changes to be able to get into the 170s.
Right, right. That's a big gap in time, of course, between February and July. What are your reasons for taking it in February?
I'm going to be very honest with you. One thing is I kind of wanted to take it to get the experience since I work full time. Um, I've in the past, it's kind of been like 3, 4 years now that I said, oh, I'm going to take the LSAT. I'm going to do this. And sometimes every time something comes up. So for me, it's kind of just that accountability piece to make myself, okay, if I'm taking it at this point in time, now I'm definitely going to do it for the long haul. So it's just something that kind of motivates me to continue and push myself into July.
Gotcha, gotcha. I normally wouldn't recommend taking it if you don't feel like you're going to reach your goal score or even close to it. And obviously, if you want to improve significantly, you need time. But if you are going to take it in February, I would keep an eye out specifically for digital LSAT features and what that test experience is like, because that's something new, of course.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Perfect. Yeah. Another thing is I really haven't been working on reading comp too much because I've really tried to kind of strengthen logic games and logical reasoning. Since I look, it's like about 75% of the test. What are your thoughts on that? Because I know, some people say you should focus on all three. I know, you know, like long haul, definitely, I kind of want to focus on each area. But for now, since I'm looking at it, I'm like, I think spending more time on logical reasoning and logic games is what will give me my bigger gains, at least in February. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I would certainly agree that you're going to get bigger gains on reasoning and logic games, since there's more to improve on there, since they're more unfamiliar initially. But with an eye towards July, I would spend some time working on each section because there is room to improve significantly on each. Reading comp is just a bit tougher and might take more time, but there are certainly some techniques and strategies to adopt that could help pave the way. In terms of reading comp right now, what's your strategy like in terms of note taking, if any?
I mean, mostly what I've been doing is I've been using the analogs, which let you highlight. And then I kind of try to find out the structure, the main idea. But most of the time, I'm pretty much just highlighting, and I just get some of the important points and I just write those down. But everything else is just in my head right now.
Right. What's it like for you to highlight on the digital LSAT? Are you doing it on a tablet?
Yeah, I'm doing it. Well, no, I'm using just a laptop right now because I don't really have a tablet. So,
what's your experience like using the tablet? I mean, using the laptop in terms of the highlighting.
I mean, it's fine because most of my practice, since it's the digital test, I try to use a lot of the things they have online. So I've just tried to keep everything on that. So it's been decent. I really haven't had any issues.
You know that you'll be getting scratch paper as well, right?
Yeah, I use scratch paper as well. But mostly I just, like I said, I haven't really had any issues.
Good. I would say if you can before test day, try to get a tablet or borrow a tablet from somebody to see what the experience is like highlighting, because it's not the most responsive. So I wouldn't necessarily count on it working well.
Perfect.
Just be ready for that.
Perfect. I know that you also did because I listened to one of your webinars where you were talking about kind of admissions as well. I don't know if I could ask you a question.
Sure.
So I was looking as well because I live in the state of Florida. So I know that especially people say if you're going for the 170s, you should try to go for one of the top 25 schools. I mean, what's your thoughts on that? Like, let's say, for example, I think the University of Florida is a great school. What if you get a very good scholarship over there? Would you necessarily say, is it better to go to a top 25 school, or is it just better to go wherever you get the most money?
Well, what are your goals after law school?
Honestly, I wanted to do something in sports entertainment law. So I know, for example, in Florida, Miami has a big market for that with all the sports teams. So for me, like, you know, I'd like to go to a school in Florida just because of in-state tuition. And if I get scholarship, housing and everything's just going to be cheaper for me. But at the same point, I know everyone says you should try to go to the highest school that's going to give you the most scholarship. So that's always something that's kind of played in my mind as well.
Yeah, well, there are trade-offs. I mean, the higher ranked the school, typically the less scholarship money you'll get. Lower ranked schools offer you scholarship money if you've got a LSAT score that's significantly above their medians, because you can help boost them up in the rankings. So there's no one answer on this. It all depends on your goals. And it sounds to me like you'd be best served by choosing a school where they have a strong program in sports and entertainment law specifically, and they're located in an area where you have good post-graduation opportunities there for employment. So I don't know about the Florida law school specifically, but I would do some research and talk to them and see what they have to offer in your specific area.
Perfect.
If graduating without debt is important to you and going to law school with a partial or full scholarship is important, then I would say take the lower ranked school with more money.
Perfect. No, thank you. Because like I've heard a lot on that. So sometimes I'm like a little conflicted because a lot of people say push for those top 25.
Yeah, there's no blanket answer for it. It all depends on your goals. Someone who wants to practice big law in New York or LA, maybe for them, top 14 or top 25 is the way to go. Because even if they take on the debt, they'll be taking a six-figure job upon graduation, working long hours maybe, but that's what they want. That's what they can do. But for you, it might be a little bit different.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. What other questions do you have for me?
So my other question is, since I'm saying like the long haul, what kind of are some suggestions you think I should make? Because right now, if I'm scoring like the highest out of 155, what improvements can I make as well? Just kind of long haul into July.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of work to be done, and you've got the time to make it happen. If you've got 4 or 5 months, you have enough time to do a thorough review of the fundamentals for each section of the exam, starting from the beginning, if you wanted to.
Okay.
And so you might consider looking up different resources like my YouTube channel, the podcast, or my courses potentially to have a structured plan of attack for each section of the exam, working through different types of logic games, different types of logical reasoning questions by type, then pull it together with full-length sections, and then finally full-length exams on top of that.
Perfect.
That's what I'd suggest, and then blocking off the time. So what other obligations do you have over this period of time?
Well, that's kind of the reality of the situation. So right now, I was just able to get someone to cover one of my after school duties. Basically, I'm busy normally until like 6 o'clock. So when I'm doing my studying, it's pretty late because I'm getting home almost at 8 o'clock at night. And then I have to wake up at 5 in the morning and do the same thing over again. So that's kind of a situation too, because I hear people say, oh, you should study an hour or 2 hours, and then on weekends maybe try to study 3 to 4 hours, which is something that I'm basically trying to do at this point.
Awesome. Yeah, if you can get support to help you block off that time every day after school, that can make a big difference. Even just 1 or 2 hours a day on each weekday over the course of several weeks really does add up. And you can do some time sections here and there, or reviewing weak areas, or brushing up on fundamentals. You could make a lot happen during that time. And I would say get a study plan for yourself so that you know exactly what to work on every single day over the course of your prep. And a tutor can help with that. But I think you need a lot of homework too, and to know exactly what to do so that you're not guessing and just randomly doing problems.
Perfect. No, I mean, honestly, that's just great advice, because that's definitely stuff that I want to implement long run. Definitely.
Awesome. Well, we're about up to for today, but before we sign off, what would you say is the biggest insight you got from our call today?
Basically kind of the information you told me. One thing is, since I've been thinking February, but honestly, it's just trying to block off that time, making sure, one, I'm thinking long haul, maybe looking into some of the videos that you have, some of the resources, making sure I have the fidelity with my studying. That's going to be big. And kind of also what you said about there's not a one size fits all. Whatever I want to do with admissions or where I want to go, I have to look at ultimately what I want to do with that. And that's going to be where I would make my best decision.
Awesome. Glad to help. Well, please keep in touch and let me know if you need anything at all as you move forward.
All right. Thank you very much, Steve.
Thanks for tuning into the show. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already to be notified of new episodes as I release them. And feel free to reach out if you need anything at all as you move forward with your prep. I'm happy to help however I can. In the meantime, I'll wish you all the best and take care.